This is MassiveUX, and today we are going to look at AskewLabs as requested on Reddit. Now, my first thought is I love this. I love the product. I'll say that. This is something I've seen before as far as amplifiers and even putting them in Altoid cases. I think it's really cool. So we're going to talk about a number of things from your product, your positioning, and then your theme and your design on Shopify. Um, just so high level is one, I love the product and I think this is a great idea. And it sounds like you've already had some good success over the past years. Two, I think what's really lacking here is your theme design. And three, for your content, I think you have a lot of good content, but you need to work on how you're presenting it. So I'll start there is, I've seen these Altoid amplifiers before or other types of amplifiers, and I've always been interested, but I don't know a whole lot um, about them or about, I'm not an audiophile, like a professional audiophile or anything like that. So I've never pulled the trigger and actually gotten any. And so I think that's what is probably hardest for people is that they see this, they think, okay, that's kind of cool. You plug in headphones, I guess. You carry it with you. Amplifier, why? Like, as somebody who doesn't know the specifics of why this is cool and what it can offer you, uh, when you listen to music or podcast or watch movies or anything, it's hard to know why this matters. And so I think that's what you really need to explain um, succinctly and quickly. So I think there's a lot of information. I'm not going to go through it all, but I'll give you a few pointers on that. But I think what's really going to be key here is video, uh, showing how it's used and why it's important, or what the amplifier can offer. Um, so beyond that, I'm not in love with the design of this site at all, just because it's just a lot of white text on black and images. And so it's hard to read. So whenever you get to content like this, pocket size power, and then 4 paragraphs, amazing sound engineered in the UK, and 4 paragraphs, that's just really hard to capture a visitor's interest. So what you really need to do is work on how you're breaking this up. Ideally, you want whenever you're writing long text, you want that text to be between 45 and 75 characters or so. And so this is just a little bit too long. So you want your paragraphs to be about this long, um, and then break and break. So that's something to do with the width of your columns or your content areas. So look into that. This kind of photo stuff is awesome. I think you can do a little bit more even where you can have, so plug sound in here, plug your headphones in here. Like you can have the diagram and actually have the headphones and they're pointing into here, or like have, that sort of thing. So it's more explanatory instead of just plug your sound in here, plug your headphones in here. Um, just seeing more of the setup and how it works. Like, okay, so this line's running to my computer, this line's running from my headphones, or this line's running to my phone. That kind of thing is gonna help you leaps and bounds. Um, your landing right here. Let's hit on the logo. So the logo, I love it. I think it's great. You don't really need to do anything different there. I think you need a different navigation setup, uh, where your links are up here at the top, because this is just, it's lost and it's skipped. Like people aren't going to notice it. You do have an off canvas. That's okay, especially whenever you have all these extra um, secondary and tertiary links. But I would, up here you want your logo. You can have an off canvas. You want your cart. I love the carts that just pull out in a shelf and you don't have to go to another page. That can work really well, especially when you have a small store like yours. I would get rid of search, turn that off because you don't need it. You don't have enough products or enough content. Um, about us, that's great. You definitely need something like that, and you want to tell your story because you're making these yourself. And you see you and your brother. I've already read your about page. Your about page. I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but your about page. You want more. Like this is part of your unique selling point that you're not a drop shipper. You're not selling somebody else's product. I mean, yeah, people make 10 amplifiers and there are other kind of amplifiers, but this is your unique selling, one of your unique selling points. So you put some photos of yourself and your brother, put some photos of y'all holding like your first prototype, put some photos of you at the workbench, put some photos of your schematics that you're drawing up on the computer, something like that. That's going to go a long ways in building trust and giving people a behind the scenes look. So this hero section that people see when they first land on your site. So this case, you definitely want this kind of stuff, but the case is way too big, where it's hitting edge to edge. It's just not as aesthetically pleasing. So but saying that, you could do a lot better. You could also put a lot better photograph there. So maybe that's like a 3/4 angle view, closer to something like this. Something where it's not just on a black background, but it has some environment around it, or even putting a video background that's looping of just you could like that. I think that's going to help a lot is people seeing how it's seeing your amplifier in action. So say your shot starts off, it's sitting like this. Somebody walks up, picks up the amplifier, picks up their headphones, plugs it in, slides it into their pocket because that's part of what's so great about this amplifier is that it's easy to transport. And then they start walking out the door and going down the road, and they're listening. They got their headphones on their head. They have their phone in their pocket. They have the amplifier in their pocket. They pull the amplifier out. They change the volume. They put it back in. That sort of thing. So I think just that would really help sell it immediately when somebody lands here. You also we're not selling like for your first touch point with somebody. The classic doesn't tell them anything. Powerful portable headphone amplifier for amazing sound. That's descriptive of what your product does, but what's your unique value proposition and what's the real benefit? What you want to put here is a tagline that's more like professional or amazing sound quality no matter where you are. Uh, Something like that. Just something where you're talking about like what does this offer me as a music listener and why should I care? So do something like that. Um, when it comes to all the okay, so I talked about the text length a little bit. So you could do like what this is completely fine. Do like a paragraph of text, but then break all this other stuff out however you can into just little bullet points. That would be helpful right there. Um, I haven't read most of this because it's just too much. Like nobody's going to read this much content. This stuff is important, shipping and all, but it definitely doesn't need to be on the home page. You can put that on the product page at the bottom. You can put it on a shipping and handling specific page, that sort of thing. Since you only have two products, I would actually, well, you got to do a couple things. One is delineate between um, the details around your product and then the product snippet itself. So this is like a single product widget right here, and then you have a testimonial widget, and then you have another product widget. So maybe you have a bunch of details um, around your products. Then I would just show both products side by side. Yeah, so you have the classic and you have the classic plus. Um, I'd probably also rename those at some point to help. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Um, and then come down into testimonials. These kind of testimonials, this just isn't really doing it for me. Um, I actually haven't read any of them, but I'm not too worried about that. What you really want from testimonials is you want to know that people like it and that these are from real people and it's just not made up shiz. Um, so I think what bothers me mostly is just that it's all white text on the black background with these gigantic quotation marks. Um, so I don't know what theme you're using. I didn't investigate. Maybe this is just kind of like thrown together on your own. I would probably just, focus on your product. That's what you're really good at, and that's what you're providing, and find a theme that works for you that you can use to really like make your product shine. So I did like some quick searching. There's a couple of free themes on Shopify as far as like building out a single product page. You can put your content, you put your photos, keep it nice and clean and simple mostly. Um, what are some of these other ones? Yeah, same with this. It gives you a few options for how you can lay out that page and testimonials. Putting pictures of people in testimonials is really killer. Like that people love people photos and people love faces. And so that's really going to help humanize and legitimize your testimonial. So if you can use real portrait photos of the people who gave you the testimonials, that's fantastic. If you can't, using a free to use face is okay as well. You could do something like UI Faces, I think it's called. If you have to do this, this is really for design mockups and not production, I think. Definitely look into that. Make sure you're allowed to use it on a website or whatever, but people provide their own faces, so you could fall back on something like this. Um, so check out some of the other theme options. I think these are all free. This one's closer to what you kind of have now. It's darker, but it has a little bit of pop and gives you some clean options. I saw some also that are on like Theme Forest. This one looked kind of interesting. If you want to go for like a clean white theme, you probably had other options. Um, I don't know what this one was. Yeah, this one was okay. Anyways, so I would just highly recommend find a theme that works for you and go with that and build from there. Um, Okay, so let's go to the Shop Now page because I just want to look at your products side by side. So I think what's what I don't understand is the Classic versus the Classic Plus. It's really unclear what the differentiator is. Just looking at it here, I don't even know the price until I hover over it. For your product name, you don't really need to put your business name in it. And the reason is just because as far as like if you're talking about SEO value or anything like that, you don't really have any SEO value most likely. I'm saying most likely behind AskewLabs headphone amplifier. That is good. So I would probably call it like, maybe it is the classic dash um, Altoid 10 headphone amplifier. And so that way, if I was really going to get into this, I'd go do some of my own SEO keyword research to find out what people are searching around headphone amplifiers, homemade headphone amplifiers, Altoid 10 amplifiers, that sort of thing, so I can better represent that SEO keyword data. Um, but look into that. This is a little just confusing with the layout. Like I said, I think a theme would help you. Like I said on the other page, this is just way too much content. Like most of this stuff people don't care about. So you need to hit, let's just say, two types of customers. So there's one that they're just kind of the normal everyday person, and so you need to hit them with the big idea, which is high quality audio reproduction and a couple of bullet points as far as like it's small, it's easy to carry, it sounds great, blah blah blah. Then you come down and you can get into the nitty gritty of like the really cool uh, specifics around the tech behind it and the hardware or whatever, like some of the stuff that you're saying in here. Um, and because there will be those other people that they want to read about what that means. So I would rearrange a lot of this, break stuff up, use headings, different sized headings, putting some images in there, like even like we see the case, but we never see the inside. So I'd like to see the inside, even though I'm just kind of I'm mostly a normal person. I'm not an audiophile. I do like electronics and Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and such, and so I would like to see more of the inside working. So you could put that kind of stuff down here. Video would be amazing as well. Um, I just want to know more about. I want to see more about of the product. And that goes for both. Like I still don't actually know what the difference is between the Classic and the Classic Plus upgraded headphone amplifier. That's the only thing I know. If there's really not that much of a difference, I would just get rid of the like it, I don't know what the difference is, and I haven't read enough to understand it. But you could always break it down to just a single product line, and so you're just over time you're just upgrading as new, better technology and hardware comes out. And so you just have your product and then it's, V1, V2, that sort of thing, instead of having to have the plus or whatever. I think you do have a good opportunity for other, not other products, but other upsells. So you could do like, you only have the photo of the Peppermints Altoid box. So you could find maybe you are providing other case options, just other Altoid brands, or maybe you have an option where people can send in their own custom case. Like, so you have like a design your own add-on where they're going to mail you the case and then you're going to construct it and ship it back to them. So obviously that would cost a little bit more just because it's going to be, take a little bit more time and whatnot. But that way people can kind of specialize the case based on what they like. I know you can get other kinds of tins as well that aren't the Altoids brand. So that would be really interesting. So I know that kind of just touched on a wide array of points, but I hope that helps. Let's see, you have the cart, you have shipping and returns, you have about, you have contact. That's what you need. Log in and create an account. I don't think you really ever need those. Most people are not going to, but they still could create an account usually in Shopify whenever they're checking out. So I would probably just get rid of those. Just cut down on the complexity of the site. One thing I did notice, I might need to add something to the cart. Okay, so title. I think a theme would help you a lot with how a lot of this is laid out. But like this is your primary button. It really needs to stick out and not just be an outline that's a light gray. Again, man, I hate that PayPal. I mean, it's kind of who PayPal is they're always the brightest and biggest. And I know this is partly just what Shopify offers, with like the more payment options and stuff. I don't love it, but it's there. Um, what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, add to cart. So let's add this to cart. We get the little slide out. That's fine. You could also do buy now since you only have two products. If you can do skip cart and go straight to checkout. It might be a plugin that you add on for that. So do a little investigation to see if you can find a plugin. I know I have one of my stores that's free, but I can't remember what it's called. Probably just look for Shopify add-on straight to cart. Just Google that. So let's go take a look at your cart really quick, or your checkout page, because I noticed something I wanted to mention. So here's your checkout page. So by the time your customer gets to checkout, you want things to be as simple and clean as possible. So I would recommend just get rid of the images. You don't need these images to add it on here. For one, this makes reading and completing the form just more complicated with the image behind it. You finally have some pictures of components and stuff, which is cool. Um, I don't I guess this is maybe from maybe the boards that you're using. I can't really tell because I see, oh, those are transistors maybe back there. It might be, yeah. So just get rid of this background image, get rid of this header image. You can have your logo in there. That's fine. Do that. But don't use the images. And let's go back to the cart really quick. This is fine too. I mean, this is good enough. It's what you need. Overall, like I really love your product. I'm very interested in getting one myself, and I'm happy to help any more if I can. If you have more questions, I mean, I know a lot of this was generalized. I'm not speaking about your design specifically because I think you really do need to look at into some themes and just following that. But your product is freaking awesome. Video is going to be is really going to be killer. And I could see that flowing over into Facebook and Instagram and creating ads in both of those social platforms as well. So good luck. I hope that you find this helpful.